What's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. Welcome back to the Crypto Coffee channel. I'm Matt. I've seen a lot of you before in the chat, so I just wanted to say hi to the Mango Junkie, to Sandy B, some of the usual suspects. We've got Hex Element. Hello. Magic Carpet Ride. How you doing? Hextrovert. Spike. Good to see you again, as always. What's going on, Hex Toshi? Guys, I'm excited to be here today because I'm going to make this a short stream, and I really only wanted to talk about one specific topic that's been on my mind a lot lately. And I really do feel like it's a light bulb moment, like a eureka moment, guys, like an aha moment. Well, I don't know how many other ways I could say it. But things are starting to click with me, and it's in regard to liquidity pools as it comes to HEX and PulseChain and HEX on PulseChain. So before we get into that, I mean, I'm going to spend maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes talking about this, but if you guys want to interrupt with questions along the way, go ahead. Or thoughts and ideas of your own, please go ahead, because this is kind of a thought that it's not half-baked, but it's maybe 3/4 baked. And, you know, I've really just been thinking about it, and I don't know how to say it and articulate it in the most eloquent way possible, but I'm just going to take a stab at it today. And if I can really narrow down some of the some examples of how I think this would go down in reality, then I'll make a short, actual video about it. But I'm doing a live stream to kind of just brainstorm and just talk about what I think is going to end up happening with the liquidity pools. And then I'll get to your questions afterwards. So let me try to explain what the hell I am talking about, guys. When PulseChain forks from Ethereum, there's going to be 2 separate blockchains, obviously, right? And we've never seen anything quite like that before. We've seen a lot of separate blockchains be created, and then we've seen the main currencies from those blockchains be bridged over to blockchains like Ethereum. So I want to go through a couple examples right now. I'll pull up my screen. Yep, let me try to do that again. 1 second, folks. No. Here we go. Yeah. So, I mean, there's all these blockchains out here, right? Ethereum actually is not the only blockchain. I don't think sometimes we forget about that. Sometimes people don't realize that there's a lot of different networks out there, and they all have their own native blockchain token. And so we see a lot of times, people have these blockchains and they're their own separate ecosystems, but then we create these bridging protocols that end up bridging all these coins together. And basically we have this network of connected layer ones right now, which is actually an efficient way to do things, because you don't need to bloat up an entire blockchain with all these apps and, NFTs and all this nonsense, kind of like Ethereum has today. Ethereum's so bloated that if you have an app that has a real useful application, a lot of people are building their own blockchains so they don't have to experience the bloat that Ethereum is offering. And essentially that's what PulseChain is doing for HEX, right? HEX will be the main app, or dApp, whatever you want to call it, that runs on top of PulseChain. And the intention of PulseChain at first was to basically save the hexagons. And yeah, there's going to be a bunch of really cool stuff like liquid loans and all that built on top of PulseChain. But these other blockchains out there, I'm not promoting these guys, but these are examples of blockchains that actually like do something, that were created for a purpose, I believe. And I'm sure they also have things being built on top of them. But you've got things like Terra, Centrifuge, and Filecoin. Okay, these are just a couple of examples. But when people want to trade Filecoin on the Ethereum network, they always have to wrap them and bridge them over, right? If people want to trade Terra, or Luna, I guess it's called, that's a terrible nomenclature. Why would you call it Terra but have the Luna be the ticker? Anyway, you have to wrap these coins in a bridge contract, and the bridge contracts typically have admin keys, but they're relatively low risk, because once the coins are on the other network, nothing can really be done with them. So really, the only risk is that, the bridge maintainer could potentially steal all the coins, but it's essentially not very profitable for them to do so, because having a bridge smart contract is basically just a money collecting machine, because every time you bridge a coin, there's a small fee that you have to pay to the bridge contract. So I think a reason that a lot of these admin key operated bridge contracts are not getting hacked is because they're making money, basically. And so they're basically their own greed is being played in favor, game theoretically, for all the users. Because as a greedy bridge contract owner, I'd rather just sit and collect fees than try to run away with all this random coin that's locked up in my smart contract, and then try to get to the exchanges early before anybody realizes, and then try to actually cash out on these exchanges without any KYC AML. It's really complicated for a bridge smart contract owner, I think, to want to scam people. And so I think the reason we haven't seen any major hacks in the bridging world is just because of that, because they're making money on bridge fees every time you bridge. Anyway, things like Terra/Luna, they exist on their own blockchain, and this is probably the main currency of its own blockchain. But when you want to trade it on Ethereum, you have to wrap it, and it becomes wrapped Terra, right? And you'll notice that they have very similar prices. In fact, right now, they have the exact same price, $51.96. Centrifuge is its own blockchain. It's $1.81 on its own blockchain, and it's $1.81 in the wrapped version on Ethereum, right? So people are trading the wrapped version of this coin on Ethereum, and they're also trading it on the regular blockchain, right? Then you got Filecoin. Filecoin's a little bit different, right? It's barely different. 62.96 on the Filecoin blockchain, 63.03 on the Ethereum blockchain. And these reach parity with each other because of arbitrage, right? If people see an arbitrage opportunity, like, hey, Filecoin is worth way less on the wrapped version for some reason. The wrapped version of Filecoin is worth way less than the regular Filecoin. I'm just going to buy a whole bunch of wrapped Filecoin, unwrap it back to the Filecoin network, and then sell it at a much higher price. And so arbitrage actually makes these markets efficient, and it brings these coins to parity. The wrapped version of the coin and the regular version of the coin. And the difference with this versus HEX is that, well, HEX is a coin built on top of the blockchain, right? It's not the primary token. PLS is the primary token, right? So it's kind of an unprecedented. We don't really have a lot of history to go back on, a lot of other coins to see what's going to happen to the price of eHEX and PHEX. And just for clarity, guys, I'm going to be calling PHEX just regular HEX. And the reason that I'm calling PHEX regular HEX moving forward, and I think the reason that will be the nomenclature is because that's how all of these wrapped coins have been doing it so far, right? And what you're going to end up, I think, having is HEX, the real HEX, quote unquote, the primary HEX will be HEX on PulseChain. And that's just going to happen because people are going to prefer the environment where they don't have to pay any fees and they get instantaneous transactions, right? So that's what I think is going to end up happening. Richard Hart has actually explicitly stated that the nomenclature going forward is just going to be HEX and eHEX, right? So if you hear me say HEX and eHEX in your mind, just think that PHEX equals HEX, okay? PulseChain HEX is just HEX. Ethereum HEX, we can still call eHEX. We can annotate the E in front of it so that we know it's trading on the old blockchain. But I guess think of it like that, guys. You're going to have the old paradigm HEX, which is called eHEX, and then you're going to have the new version of HEX, which is really just HEX, HEX on PulseChain, where it belongs, where it can save the users from crazy high fees and all that. What am I trying to say here? I think that when people are going to go where they're treated best, right? So I think a lot of people, like I've mentioned earlier on my videos, a lot of people are going to rush to PulseChain. They're going to rush to PulseChain because there's instantaneous transactions and everything. And they're going to want to buy up all this HEX on PulseChain. So when they want to buy all this HEX on PulseChain, they might want to get rid of their eHEX too. But what's the best way for them to get rid of their eHEX, guys? I mean, do you want to sell your eHEX for dollars, then bridge your dollars over and make that into eUSDC, let's say? And so now you've got a whole bunch of eUSDC on PulseChain, but you already had to pay a $50 swap and then let's say like a $10 bridging fee. Well, why cut out the middleman? Why sell your eHEX for USDC, bridge it over, incur all these fees, and then buy HEX on PulseChain with eUSDC? And we don't even know from day one that there will be a lot of liquidity on the HEX eUSDC pair. We don't know that will happen. And I think if smart whales like the Origin address and a lot of other smart whales have a similar ideology, I think we can help to drive the prices in the favor of everybody. Whereas like the price of eHEX doesn't go down and it actually reaches parity with the price of HEX on PulseChain or regular HEX, right? So what I'm saying is I think the price of HEX and the price of eHEX are actually going to reach parity after a certain amount of time. Maybe it's 1 month, 3 months, whatever, 6 months. I don't know. But I think they're going to reach parity. And I don't think it's as binary as eHEX is going to die and HEX on PulseChain is going to thrive and do amazing. And I think I had mentioned that in an earlier video. So I wanted to retract what I thought and what I was talking about in the earlier video and give a new perspective that I think they're actually going to settle down and be somewhat similar of a price. And it might not be the same price. Let's say HEX is $1 before the fork. Maybe eHEX becomes 75 cents and then HEX on PulseChain becomes 75 cents. Add those two together, that's $1.50. You still made the sum of the parts is still greater than the whole before the fork happened. I mean, that makes sense, right? That's always kind of what we were expecting. And I think that they're going to reach parity because, like I was saying, rather than pay $100 or $200 or whatever it costs right now to swap eHEX for USDC, bridge USDC over and buy HEX in a potentially illiquid pair, wouldn't it just be easier to bridge eUSDC? Sorry, wouldn't it just be easier to bridge eHEX over to PulseChain network? And then let's say there's a bunch of liquidity in the HEX eHEX pair on PulseChain starting from day one. Let's say there's a whole bunch of liquidity on that pair. Well, isn't it just much easier to swap your eHEX directly for HEX on that pair? I mean, of course it is. It's going to cost you pennies on the dollar. The only cost you'll really have to pay is the bridge contract cost because you're not selling into USDC, transferring into Pulse Network, and then hoping there's enough liquidity for you to buy HEX with eUSDC. So you're cutting out one step of the problem and you're saving hundreds of dollars in Uniswap fees on Ethereum by doing this. And so that's why I want to signal to anybody with a lot of liquid HEX, or at least some liquid HEX, signal the benefit of providing eHEX HEX liquidity on PulseChain when Uniswap, when PulseChain's version of Uniswap is launched on day one. Now we know we're going to have PulseChain's version of Uniswap on day one, right? That's part of the MVP, the minimum viable product for PulseChain. There has to be some kind of swapping application, and we know it's going to have the bot that runs to fix all the ratios of all the coin pairs. But when that happens, right? When that happens, we as a community, we as holders, and if we have any liquid HEX available, rather than selling your eHEX, I think selling your eHEX is a very naive thing to do. I think what the actual ideal optimal play here is if you have liquid eHEX, transfer it over, bridge it over to PulseChain, and because you're getting that copy, you're going to have liquid PHEX, you're going to have liquid HEX too. Maybe try providing HEX eHEX liquidity with the newly created HEX that you have and the bridged over eHEX. Maybe try providing some liquidity there, because the bigger that liquidity pool is, the more stable the prices will be. And if we have, again, a lot of liquidity, that's like, when you drop a drop of water into the ocean, you barely notice a price difference. Whereas if you drop a drop of water into a test tube, you'll see a significant, calculatable difference in the volume of water in the test tube, because it's relative to the size of the tube, right? So liquidity and slippage is relative to the size of the liquidity pools. So if we have a lot of liquidity in the eHEX HEX pair, we'll create a more stable price for both of these and allow them to reach parity faster. And on top of this, guys, there is an LP rewards token that's been rumored, and I haven't seen any proof about this LP reward token. But for those that don't know, a liquidity providing reward token, an LP reward token, is basically just a what it is an incentivization token for people to provide liquidity, to kickstart and ignite liquidity providing on a new chain. And it can be kind of finagled, right? It can be gamed so that people are most incentivized to provide liquidity on the eHEX HEX pair, right? And so I think a smart thing to do for the founder or the creators or the developers of this new system is, I think it would be smart to provide the most LP reward tokens on day one, if they're ready on day one with this fabled LP reward token. Again, I haven't seen any proof, or I haven't heard any proof from Richard Hart that there is going to be one from day one for the MVP. But if there is, it would make sense for them to offer a lot of LP reward tokens to specifically the eHEX HEX pair, and not as much to other pairs. Like, you'd want the highest amount of rewards going into that pair because you'd want the most amount of people trading their eHEX directly for PHEX. And there's also Another thing, another benefit of trading your eHEX directly for pHEX is that according to what's now known as Hart's law, Richard Hart invented a law that really is just an observation of an existing phenomenon that nobody had really ever put a name to before. Okay, so no one had ever really put a name to this phenomenon, but Hart's law just basically says that when coins are tied, when the value of a coin is primarily traded against a different coin, and it's primarily bonded to the liquidity of a different coin, if that coin's price goes up and down, then if the other coin does nothing at all, its USD value, which is derived from the other coin, will still go up and down with the market. So for example, if HEX was, back in the day, HEX was primarily traded in the Ethereum market pair, right? It's primarily traded against Ethereum, and the USDC pair didn't have as much liquidity. And this was good because as the price of Ethereum skyrocketed, let's assume for the sake of example that nobody even touches HEX at all. Nobody buys or sells HEX. But if HEX is worth 0.1 Ethereum and Ethereum doubles in price, HEX by default has also doubled in price, because HEX is even if HEX is still worth 0.1 Ethereum, but 1 Ethereum went from $2,000 to $4,000, then HEX just went from $200 to $400. You know what I mean? So being bonded to having HEX at first primarily being bonded to eHEX would allow them to basically be tied together. And because if you're trading one for the other, you're not actually selling it for USDC. So you're not actually making the USDC price go down at all. You're just exchanging the ratios of eHEX and HEX in that market pair. So that's all I'm trying to say, guys. People will go where they're treated best, and that includes bridging eHEX over, because who's going to want to use anything on the original Ethereum network? Guys, who's going to want to use anything at all? I think even with people's liquid eHEX, it still makes more sense for them to try to get into something better by bridging over to PulseChain and saving all those gas fees. And again, with a liquidity token provided for this specific pair, that's only going to ignite and increase the activity on those pairs. Right? And again, Hart's law says, like, for example, if HEX is $1 and eHEX is 50 cents, and if nobody touches eHEX at all, but then if HEX goes to $2, then eHEX goes from 50 cents to $1. If HEX doubles in price and eHEX has all of its liquidity tied to HEX, then eHEX goes to $1. eHEX doubles in price too. And this eventually results in an equalization of prices through arbitrage, right? So that's what I think is going to happen. I'm trying to get a better example of how this will happen. And it does assume some things, right? It assumes that the primary liquidity pair is going to be the HEX eHEX pair and not the HEX USDC pair. And if we're talking about HEX PUSDC, well, there's no guarantee that PUSDC will even be worth $1. In fact, I don't think it will. I think PUSDC will be worth less than $1. And I think a lot of people, myself included, are going to just try to dump any PUSDC that they have for real dollars, if there are people so foolish enough to be providing liquidity for that pair, right? But if there is, I'd much rather have USDC on the Ethereum chain, because I know that Coinbase is really only backing the USDC on the Ethereum chain. They're not necessarily backing any PUSDC for dollars. So I don't think that PUSDC should be worth $1. And if I see it anywhere close to $1, I'm going to be trying to sell so I can just get more other coins, more HEX, more eHEX, and more PLS, right? So yeah, again, rather than trying to cash out eHEX for dollars and then buy HEX, people are just going to go directly to the liquidity pool and trade over there. And if we can meet these conditions, that eHEX HEX has a lot of liquidity, then I think we're going to see parity a lot sooner than we think. And I think we're going to see stability sooner than we think, depending on how much liquidity is in that pair. I hope I'm explaining that kind of right. And it is a really complicated topic. So that's my rant for today. But that just kind of clicked for me. And I'm going to definitely be providing personally. I really don't have much liquid HEX. Majority of mine is staked. But as my stakes have come due, I'm holding it liquid. I'm not selling it right now because I want to be a liquidity provider. And guys, even if the LP reward token isn't available on day one, you're still going to be making fees, right? So even if I park my eHEX and my liquid eHEX and my liquid HEX in that liquidity pool, if I just park it there, that's a PLS generating machine, because as you guys know, liquidity providers already make 0.3% of all transactions that go through the swap contract. So you're going to be making PLS either way. And it would just be nice icing on the cake if you're going to be making some LP reward token on top of that, because we've seen how good LP rewards tokens do. We've seen tokens like Quick Swap token or Pancake Swaps token. It's a free token that starts from nothing. And, whether or not there's any kind of governance or any other BS narrative attached to that token, traders are going to trade, right? People are going to try to buy this token, whether or not it has a purpose at all. So why not collect a secondary token on top of collecting the PLS fees that you're all doing already? So anyway, guys, if anybody's new in the chat, that's probably way over your heads. It's a little bit advanced. I'll just take some questions right now. And what do you guys want to know about HEX, the PulseChain launch? Want to know my thoughts about anything? As long as they're not like financial advice questions and how much should I invest? I hate those questions. But yeah, ask me any other question, and that's not about financial advice. Let's see. Who do you think is the God Whale? Well, I don't know who the God Whale is, but I know they actually provably revealed themselves, Tommy, on Twitter the other day. There's a Twitter account that's at The Real God Whale. It was created after a parody account came into existence called The Real God Whale, or called The God Whale or something. And he claimed to be the God Whale as a joke, right? And it was all fun and games until the real God Whale came in and said, "Hey, I want you guys to know I'm the real God Whale, just in case this guy tries scamming anybody." The parody account wasn't a scammer. He was just a guy trying to have fun and make a parody account. But we have an anonymous Twitter guy who has admitted that he is the God Whale, and actually proven that he was by sending a small transaction to Funding Jim on Twitter. Now, as for the guy's actual identity, I don't know. I don't care, but I do know that he has exhibited some hardcore holding behavior. I mean, he's got billions of HEX, guys. He's a billionaire. He's a HEX billionaire. I think he has like 5 billion HEX, which means he's got over $1 billion in net worth. So I can't imagine what it feels like to be that guy, but he hasn't really sold, as far as I know, anything at all. And he actually did donate 100 Ethereum to the Highest of Stakes documentary guy. So thought that was pretty neat. The God Whale is helping in all kinds of ways, and he's looking out for Hexicans as well. Let's see. Just wait for ETH 2.0. That's true. That's true. If ETH 2.0 does come into play, I'm not sure how that affects this whole dynamic. If Ethereum had no fees, we would just promote HEX on Ethereum. But because its fees are so high, we need somewhere where more people can buy HEX. And I think once PulseChain and HEX on PulseChain hits the ground and really gains traction, which it will, I think, very quickly in a couple of months, and it becomes PulseChain becomes the primary environment to use HEX, I think different blockchains will kind of end up being for different applications. And I think HEX will be primarily used on PulseChain and maybe forgotten on ETH. Even when ETH 2.0 comes out, as long as the fees are still, less than a penny and like 3-second transactions, as long as life is still good on PulseChain, I don't know if a lot of people are going to switch back to ETH over time. I thought about that before. But ETH 2.0 could be 2 years from now, it could be 5 years from now. So I think PulseChain will come within the next 3 months. Crypto Coffee, what's going to be your play when the launch happens? Well, like I said, Mango, I will be providing liquidity on that eHEX HEX pair. I've sacrificed from day one, I think day 1, 2, and 5, and also on the last day. So I'm going to have a bag of Pulse, and I might go into liquid loans a little bit, not with all my money, not with all my stack, but I might experiment with that a little bit. And I'm just going to relax, because I think every time I make an impulsive decision, it usually ends up very badly for me. So I am going to just sit there, enjoy my Pulse bag, maybe buy more if I see the price of PLS dipping right away. I think dips are obviously great buy opportunities. So if there's a lot of early people trying to cash out whatever little gains they have and they don't want to hold for longer than a couple of weeks, you've always got some of those guys, right? So if there is a little dip within the first month or two of PLS, maybe I would try to use some of my HEX or USDC to maybe buy some more Pulse at the low. Same thing with HEX. If I see HEX taking a little dip and it kind of overshoots, in my opinion, then maybe I'll try to pick up some dips on HEX. But I'm really just going to be watching with my popcorn, man. I'm going to be trying to just read how things are going and react accordingly. I don't have a firm playbook other than liquidity providing right now. How do you get babes? I don't know. Just be yourself, man. Be yourself. Blender Hode says, if you miss the sacrifice phase, what's the play to acquire Pulse in order to provide liquidity? If you miss the sacrifice phase, well, I don't think sacrificing now is a great idea, even though technically you still can. I think you're going to get a terrible rate relative to the people that did it in like the first 30 days or something. It's been like over 100 days since the sacrifice phase, and every day you're getting an exponentially compoundingly worse rate. So I don't think that's the move. I would try to just buy the dip maybe after PulseChain launches and take advantage of some of those short-term thinkers that are going to try to dump for maybe like a small little 2x or even less. Maybe they'll try dumping for a little 10%, 20% gain. And if they try that, you can just have your finger on the button, have it ready. And again, because of these liquidity pair issues and because we have so much uncertainty about USDC, I think it would be good to have some liquid HEX at the time of the fork, right? Because we don't know, but I can assume that there's going to be higher liquidity in the PLS HEX pair and in the HEX eHEX pair on day one. I think those pools are going to have higher liquidity than the PLS USDC pair, right? So because those are going to have higher liquidity, it'll be much easier for you to just transfer or swap some liquid HEX for Pulse if you start to see a dip, right? And you'll already have that copy if you just get HEX right now, right? So I think the best way to prepare is literally just buy HEX right now. Maybe stake some if you want to start your ladder, but if gas fees are too outrageous, then keep it liquid. And start your ladder when the fork happens, and then maybe still keep some more liquid just so that you can scoop up any cheap PLS if you feel like you totally missed out on the PLS phase. What's your guess for mainnet? Oh man, I'm gonna go with I'd be happy if it launched in January. I don't think it's gonna be the 18th, but I think it'd be cool if something happened on the 18th. Greetings, Earthlings. HEX price prediction in 2 years. Wow. I mean, if we can get up to 10 cents per PLS in 2 years, starting from like basically an IPO price, whatever you want to call it, of 0.0004 cents was like the best rate that people got. That's like I don't know, 250x or something. And that's very, very conservative, right? But I mean, where else are you going to get even 100x in 2 years? You know what I mean? I think HEX can easily do 100x to 1000x in 2 years. So I think 10 cents would be pretty, let's see, 10x, 100x. I think like 10 cents is kind of reasonable. Maybe even more. Let's see. Would you put Pulse? I don't know what this question is. Would you put Pulse money into HEX right now? Pulse doesn't exist right now. So I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. Let's see what else we got here. You wouldn't be making PLS just pooling eHEX and HEX. Not sure why you said that. You'd be earning 0.3% fees in eHEX/HEX. So yeah, actually, yeah, you're right. My bad. Maybe I misspoke there. You'd be making fees of the whatever people are trading in, guys. So yeah, you'd be making 0.3% fees in whatever trading pair is being traded. So yeah, my bad if I misspoke. On the launch of Pulse, HEX be a good bet to purchase with. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying, Brock. HEX would probably be the main thing that you can swap on some of these liquidity pools on day one, I believe. I believe the most liquid pools on day one are going to be PLS HEX and then HEX eHEX. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. Somebody can come along with millions of USDC and provide liquidity that way, but I don't know if that's going to happen. How do I take advantage of PulseChain airdrop with HEX and MetaMask? You just literally keep your HEX in MetaMask and do nothing. Like if you just hold it there, guy, I'm not sure it's that time. If you just hold your HEX in your MetaMask, you don't do anything. When the snapshot date happens, and as long as you're holding HEX in your MetaMask on the time of the snapshot date, you will get a copy of that same HEX on, when PulseChain launches. Same thing for staked HEX. If you're staked on the snapshot date, you'll have a copy of your stake on PulseChain. Are there any risks to LPing? Yeah, there's impermanent loss. Impermanent loss is the risk to LPing. So again, this might not make sense for people that have smaller amounts of money that just want to get in to the investment in general. So this might be a little more advanced, and I wouldn't recommend it to just everybody, because you might end up with more of one token than you want, and the price of the other token goes up massively. So there are risks. It's impermanent. Look up impermanent loss on Google and check that out. That's basically the main risk of liquidity providing. Talk about all the fighting going on in HEX. No, I don't really want to talk about that. I think it's stupid. I think fighting is really dumb, and I don't think there's actually as much of it as we think. So I think it's just a couple loud people that act like the sky is falling sometimes. When it's ready, it's ready. Better to be bug-free than rushed. Yes, I'd agree. Talk about nomics. I really don't want to talk about nomics. It's not as big of a deal as we think. I think that, when you're onboarding somebody, you don't always really send them to nomics. People don't really ask about the market cap of the coin when you're onboarding a new person. Maybe these crypto people do because they're making up analytics that don't really matter, but they're giving more importance to them than they should be. Market cap really doesn't matter. Price matters. If you're in crypto to make money, looking at low market cap coins or like looking at the ranking sites of market cap is not really that helpful. You want to look at the price dynamics, liquidity dynamics, and just what does the coin actually do? What will incentivize people to actually buy this coin, and how can demand be driven for the coin? Basically, all that matters is more demand than supply. And if demand outpaces supply, the price goes up. So market cap is a vanity metric, as they say. Morpheus says, what do you think would be a wiser way to get PLS on launch? Swapping PHEX for PLS or holding ETH USDC and waiting for a bridge? That's another interesting idea. If you, Oh, never mind. You're not talking about liquidity. You're saying holding ETH or USDC and waiting for a bridge. Again, the bridge I think will be available right away. I just don't know if the liquidity is going to be there for all these bridged tokens right away. Because, a lot of people would have to bridge over their tokens and then voluntarily provide liquidity. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to happen very soon. So you might not have liquid markets with ETH or USDC. So yeah, I think swapping HEX for PLS might be the easiest way. Maybe the wiser way, but again, that's just an intuition, and I could be wrong. Price speculation on how much first week sacrificers are already up since people keep sacrificing injects me with FOMO. Let's see. Price speculation on how much first week sacrificers are already up. Well, they're not really up at all because there's no price of PLS yet. So really, we're just sitting around and we just sacrificed all of our money or all of our HEX or whatever we sacrificed, whatever coin you sacrificed. And that was a political statement in order to get PLS. So there's no up here because the coin doesn't exist. Church of Universal Oneness says, what is you hopefully /reach launch price? I don't know. What is your, I'm sorry, I don't understand that question. In the HEX USDC, in the HEX USDC pool, the fees are collected in ETH. Okay. Yeah, I guess I was right. Mickmon convinced me I was wrong, but I guess I was right. Yeah, you make fees on liquidity pools in PLS. So I retract my previous statement. You will be getting PLS as the reward for liquidity, just like how you get Ethereum as your rewards for current liquidity providing. I don't know why I just believe that. Never mind. All right, Hex Monkey says, if we need to rely on the God Whale for HEX to move forward, we're headed for a status quo. We don't need to rely on the God Whale. The God Whale already bought. So we definitely don't need to rely on this guy to keep buying. We need to rely on marketing, promotion, getting more people to spread the word, and onboarding, which onboarding is going to be so easy on PulseChain, guys. It's going to be so easy. The reason that a lot of new people aren't getting in right now, and I think the reason for the previous dip is because a lot of people can't get in if they've only got $100 or $1,000. Like, they're going to get eaten alive with gas fees. Yeah, McMahon, you would be making PLS for providing eHEX hex PHEX liquidity. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for confirming that. Yeah, PLS is the main network token. So that's what I thought. Crypto Coffee, do you think Richard put in redundancies and safeguards to help PulseChain scale into the future so it doesn't run into the same problems ETH currently has? Well, I think there's no real way. Blockchains become a victim of their own success sooner or later. Basically, I think PulseChain is just buying us many, many more years of time. I think that there are some safeguards, like the different consensus mechanism is going to be way better than proof of work, which is what Ethereum is using today. So I think it's going to keep us safe. And also just having an empty blockchain and a low price of PLS, those two things alone are going to provide us padding for, probably the next 10 years for scalability issues. If more people keep building on PulseChain, yeah, it will eventually one day become bloated. But if more people keep building different layer ones for their primary dApps to run on, then we're going to have this decentralized world of different blockchains. It's going to be a multi-chain future with a bunch of bridge contracts. So I think if the trends are going in the way they've been going, I don't think this is really anything we'll have to worry about ever. Let's see what else. Nomics sucks. Yeah, Nomics. No, I'm not talking about that anymore. I'm just going to ghost him. It's a shame. We've been stabbed in the back a lot. Let's see. Let's see. How many? Well, okay, I'm going to have to go check this because there's a disagreement between a couple people here, and I'm not actually sure what to believe anymore, but I'll have to double check and get back to you on what fees are paid in. If you provide liquidity in a liquidity pool, you're making 0.3% fees. I'm just uncertain if it's paid in PLS or, whatever the liquidity pair is. I'm not sure what you get a cut of there. So hopefully I can be more informed next time for you guys. X Monkey said, for all those, should I do this thing related to PLX or the other thing? I consider doing both and chilling. Yeah, just expose yourself to the most opportunity. Opportunity is like a surface area. You want to have a lot of surface area. You want to hold a lot of HEX, a lot of eHEX, and a lot of PLS. And you want to have some staked. You want to have some liquid to take advantage of all these opportunities, right? Stake, fork, and chill. That really is the strategy. It's very kind of simple, kind of a little more simple than some people think. Can't wait for PulseChain. It's going to be amazing. Generational wealth. You'll be rich. True that. Pulse Doger. Thanks for streaming. And of course, Tony Baloney. Great name. Let's see. If I have my onboards buy HEX at Bitmart. Oh yeah, that's not actually not bad. You can have some new onboards buy HEX at an exchange, a centralized exchange, and there are probably lower fees for withdrawals and for trading. But I would recommend as soon as you buy the HEX on the centralized exchange, you just withdraw it to MetaMask as soon as you can, because you never know, man. Bitmart could always get hacked. To me, I just look at exchanges, centralized exchanges, like everything's got a timer ticking on their head, and it's only a matter of when, not if, they're going to get hacked. So I've seen so many exchange hacks that I really feel uncomfortable leaving coins on there on centralized exchanges for any longer than a couple of hours. Right? Just buy the coin, get it off, get it into MetaMask. That's not a bad idea as long as you get it off. 21 Window, do you find it weird that HEX is the only coin where people market it to try to sell to people? It's cool and all, but different than everything else. Market it and try to sell it to people. Well, we don't really, it's a way to make money, right? So we're all in crypto to make money, and we're all trying to sell our cryptocurrencies. I think every coin is trying to sell itself, right, as a good idea. And these ideas compete with each other, and the best ideas win. So I don't think that's true at all, that it's the only coin where people market it and try to sell it to other people. Have you seen any other coin? Bitcoin maximalists do this all the time. They try to market Bitcoin and they try to sell Bitcoin to other people. Quote unquote sell, not literally, but they try to sell the idea, right? So everybody and all their coins are trying to sell their ideas. And I think some are just doing it better than others because some genuinely have better ideas that they're founded off of. Let's see. PulseChain Poppy says there's a Google Doc with Pulse sacrifice points depending on how much you sacrificed and how much your sack is already worth. Oh, That's interesting. PulseChain, Poppy, send me that if you have it. Haven't seen that yet. How would it be easier to onboard? It really depends on how the bridge works. We still have to get into ETH via ETH. No, technically yes, but again, there are these USD on ramps that'll probably be built in the next couple of years. That'll be direct to PLS. And it's still, I mean, I've used bridges before. Bridge contracts are all pretty similar. They're all based with the same underlying kind of wrapping mechanism. So I'm pretty confident that the bridges that'll exist on day one will be pretty quick. And yeah, the bridge will be pretty fast and pretty quick. I mean, I've bridged from Binance Smart Chain to ETH before. It doesn't cost that much. It doesn't take that long. I think I bridged a couple coins, a couple other networks in the past too, but I've never really had an issue with waiting long, except on QuickSwap and layer 2s. Layer 2s are another story. I've had issues with layer 2s, but I think, you know, the main layer chains, the bridge contracts between them, I think they're pretty smooth, and I don't expect hexes are going to be much better. I mean, obviously, yeah, we're banking on them being good and fast, and then we're also banking on the fact that eventually, you know, you will be able to buy HEX and PLS, you know, directly from some fiat on ramps too. So, we love you, Coffee. Thank you, Spike. We love you too. Just giving my thoughts, guys. I'm not a genius or anything. I'm just trying to, you know, communicate the aha moments that I've had. And I like to use clickbait thumbnails, so get you guys to click. If God Whale is sus to me, I think it's connected to Richard. I don't think so. I think the God Whale, wasn't he like a Genesis ETH whale too? I don't think Richard bought Ethereum at all. You know, Richard used to hate on Ethereum. It would be really, really weird if, I mean, it could be a friend of Richard's, maybe, sure. I just don't think it's Richard himself. But I'm sure Richard is connected to some high net worth individuals. So, I mean, sure, that's possible. Let's see. Hex is in a league of its own. Indeed, Sandra. What else? ETH is working on asynchronous execution environments to separate different types of transactions in the mempool. I wonder if PulseChain would pick up on that. Yeah, I guess we're not going to inherit any more EIPs after the snapshot date, but the more improvements that we can inherit from Ethereum, the better. Ethereum is kind of slow to implement stuff, but that does sound interesting. If you can prioritize different types of transactions in the mempool, and if that is somehow faster or cheaper, then maybe that would be a good thing to look into, right? To add on to. PulseChain, I imagine, will be a work in progress too, just like Ethereum will be. But I think we're going to want to get it as good as possible before launch. But yeah, I mean, if any other great revolutionary ideas come from other chains, I think it would be cool for the PulseChain developers to consider adding that in. Is there a reason to doubt Pulse compatibility with a hardware wallet after launch? Good question. I don't think so, because you're going to be like, basically your hardware wallet generates the same keys for your MetaMask or whatever you're connecting it to across all different chains. And I've used my hardware wallet on other chains. I've even used it on layer 2 before. So, and I haven't had problems with any of that. And I think it has to do with the fact that, like, it just verifies the private keys that derive your actual wallet, and your wallet can connect to any different network from the same set of private keys. So I think off the bat, it will launch. I have had a couple of hiccups with hardware wallets on other chains. Like, I've had to, you know, like the confirm box will like pop up twice or 3 times in a row or something weird, but it always ends up working. So I'm not too concerned about that, but I'm sure they're going to be testing that, you know, before they go live. Sir, win girlfriends. Hopefully soon for you. Don't panic. Hopefully soon. Blender Nodes, I was thinking the same thing. Like, how long will the delay be before we can download the PLS app? Oh, so SF, just so you know, like, you won't actually have to download any new app for, I think it'll just work. Like, I've used my hardware wallet on QuickSwap and stuff like that before, and it just works. I've used it on Binance Smart Chain before, and it just works even with the Ethereum app on, let's say, on your ledger. All you're going to need is the same Ethereum app, because they're all like EVM compatible, I believe. You know, I might be talking out of my ass here, but basically, yeah, my ledger works for BSC and for QuickSwap, and it's probably going to work for Pulse too. And I don't think there's any need to make a new Pulse app for those wallets, just because, again, the private keys generate a single wallet that can be used across various networks. Can you talk about your experience with high unstaked ETH fees when ending staking? Is it a problem at all? Yeah, it's a huge problem, AM Trader. In fact, it's the primary problem that PulseChain is trying to solve. Staking is one thing. Staking is expensive right now on Ethereum. It's like $50, $75 sometimes. End staking, guys, end staking is fucking expensive, man. I've had like end stakes that cost over $1,000, and that's because I think it has to iterate. The transaction has to include all the math and all the computing that went into calculating the interest on your stake. So my stakes are pretty long, right? So like they're all like over a year. So by the time my stakes come up, it has to run these calculations and iterate over every single day in the system to calculate the payout. And I think that's part of why the end stake fees are astronomically higher than the start stake fees. But in general, everything is fucking expensive on Ethereum right now, and it all sucks. I mean, it shouldn't even cost $50 to end a stake, let alone $1,000. So, PulseChain, please save us. The Motor Take It Godwell is an ETH OG. RH hated ETH. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. RH Richard Hart used to talk a lot of shit about Ethereum. I really don't think he got in on the Genesis block of Ethereum. Crypto coffee is better than Starbucks. Thank you, Marty. How are the newcomers who haven't sacrificed buy Pulse after the fork? Do they use USD, fiat? Well, again, I would say to try to use liquid HEX to exchange. You know, if you want to exchange it for PLS, that might work out. That might be the most seamless way that you can buy early on. But yeah, you could also bridge over USDC and then hope that the liquidity pool on USDC PLS is high enough for you to do that. It's going to involve bridging unless you have forked coins with high liquidity. So rather than to save you the step of having to bridge something, I would just hold HEX now, get a copy of HEX on PulseChain, and then use that HEX to exchange for PLS. Any updates on HEX passive income? Great resource, by the way. Yeah, thanks. I'll give a shameless plug. If you're brand new to crypto and you want to learn how to go from zero to hero and create your own HEX staking ladder and just learn all the ins and outs of the HEX ecosystem and the crypto ecosystem, if you want to learn about the terminology that we use, you know, if a lot of this is over your head, or if you want to just learn about security and, you know, different messaging systems that we use and all types of ins and outs of Pulse or of HEX and Pulse. HEX passive income is a single payment. You know, it's $100 right now. And it's just a bunch of videos, all the information nice and neatly packaged for you to learn everything about, you know, we have a mindset module, a security module, you know, learning about HEX and how to buy HEX, how to sell HEX, when to buy, when to sell, all that. And then we've got a HEX staking ladder module, which is really the epitome of the whole system. I mean, it's the crux of the whole entire system of HEX passive income, is basically just setting up a staking ladder. So if you want to learn how thousands of people are making truly passive income and more millionaires are being created than ever before in a single cryptocurrency, then I would get hexpassiveincome.com. Trading fees simply grow the value of your slice of the pool. So if the price stayed the same, you'll get more coins on both sides of the pair, not in a third coin. Trading fees simply grow the value of your slice of the pool. So if the price stayed the same, you get more coins on both sides. I'm trying to understand this one. Grow the value of your slice of the pool. Okay, so maybe, okay. I need to. All right, guys, I guess Mickmon might be right after all. Sorry, Mickmon. This is an important discussion. So yeah, an eHEX hex pair would pay fees in those tokens, not PLS. I don't know why I'm so trusting of everybody in chat, but I think Mickmon is right here. I'm going to hand that one to Mickmon. Thank you, sir. Sandy B, why is it important to unmask God whale? Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think it matters at all. What else? It's hard not to be curious when you drink a ton of coffee. Yeah, I'm trying to cut back on coffee. I'm drinking tea right now, boys. Wait, what? Quick question. So was the change up on Nomics showing the true market cap and circulating supply, or was that just pure hate and backstabbing as the market cap and CS Clay and CS was what it once was? It was unintentional. I mean, it was backstabbing, but I'm sure it didn't look like backstabbing to Clay. I'm sure Clay is just being paid off or following the money, or might be considering selling the company to a third party that might not think so highly of Hex. I think part of it too was that Hex was about to overtake Ethereum's market cap technically, and that would look a little odd. I think they just don't want to they don't want to admit that Hex is breaking the paradigm, and they're too afraid to admit that, and they're too afraid to basically do anything that might offend the people that give them money. So, although I don't think it was intentionally backstabbing, I think it's definitely just poor character in the CEO of Nomics. Poor integrity, poor character, and just I mean, people speak with their actions a lot louder than their words, right? So I'm sure it's money related. We're gonna send you that Google Doc. You can send it to me on Telegram, and I can pull it up. PulseChain Poppy. It's at CryptoCoffee369. I love Hexakins. Made what? All right. Well, the PulseChain website be similar to SpookySwap. I've never used SpookySwap, but it's probably going to be similar to like Uniswap V2 or PancakeSwap. I think they mentioned forking PancakeSwap. So if you guys want to check out PancakeSwap, that might be a similar something of like what to expect when it comes out. Oh my God, there's so many comments here, guys. I've got a lot of people watching. Thank you all for coming. Isaiah, thanks, Coffee. Appreciate you, bro, too. Really appreciate you guys all watching. GTSY Coffee, keep bringing it. Yes, sir, T-Bird. I'll keep bringing it. McMahon says, LOL. Yeah, guys, I was out of my league. I wasn't ready for that question, guys. I wasn't ready for that liquidity provider fees question. Let's see. BSC pays you in cake. They don't want you to be paid in BNB and dump the price. Yep, that's a little bit of a pumpamental. BSC might actually be onto something there, right? So they have their cake token, and I think PulseChain is going to have their version of the cake token. Hi, what is your okay? I can't answer these. What is your price prediction on day one of launch, guys? I don't know. I don't know it all, guys. I can pull a number out of my ass. I can say maybe 0.001 cents, maybe a tenth of a penny, if that'll make you happy. But again, that's probably going to be way off. And as we know, on day one of launch, it's going to be extremely volatile. So from 1 minute to the next, we could see massive wicks up and down. Let's see. Here's a nice little positive glass half full comment. You think all the FUD with Nomics, CoinMarketCap, etc., might actually be more bullish by the end of the year / bull run? Might be even more bullish. Yeah, I think in a way, this could be looked at as a good thing because it gives Hex a chance to, climb the ranks again. And people might think if it's a number 3 cryptocurrency that they quote unquote missed the boat. So if people are looking at Nomics as a way to judge cryptos, which is a terrible idea because you shouldn't judge a crypto based off its market cap alone, or at all for that matter. You should look at the supply dynamics, liquidity dynamics, and all that. But people might say, oh, well, Hex is number 10. It's got a lot of room to grow. Whereas if Hex is number 3, they might not think it has a lot of room to grow. Now, granted, it's a very biased view on it, a very, very false, like basically that's a logical fallacy there. You're applying market cap and saying that hasn't, such an impact on price. You're conflating the two. But yeah, if you want to look at that as glass half full thing, Isaiah, I think that's not a bad way to look at it. Runeski says, yeah, that's true. The larger lines of code of a transaction, the more it costs on Ethereum chain to run it. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. The more code that has to run, the more calculation that has to be done, the more it's going to cost. So yeah, this guy, Jizzy Mac, spent $500 to end a stake. It blows, guys. It is fucking terrible. I can't say enough bad things. Hit the likes, dickheads. All right. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Sandy. McMahon, cool stream. Cheers. Cheers to you. Cheers to your knowledge as well. You guys are all making me smarter too. I learned something new in this stream about liquidity fees. Abdul said, all the sacrifices making me jealous. I was not part of the sacrifice. Abdul, just buy, you have the ability to get HEX now. I don't think you missed out. Did the people that missed out on the Ethereum ICO miss out on Ethereum? Like, let's say you missed out on the Ethereum ICO, right? But instead you bought Ethereum at $1 when it launched. You would still be very, very, very happy today, right? And that's what happened for a lot of people. A lot of people missed the Ethereum ICO, and maybe they bought in at 50 cents, 75 cents, even $4. And if they held it till today, what is it at? $5,000, $4,000 today. So I know it might seem a little like you missed out, but thinking multi-year timeframes, man, I think anyone that gets in the first couple months is going to be pretty happy in the next couple of years. Oh, Jesus. I don't want to talk about altcoins on this channel that I'm not totally sure about yet. So sorry, I can't answer some of these comments. Looking forward to a fork of PulseChain Cash. Yeah, god damn it. If someone's gonna do that. If we all just start forking each other though, like eventually, like it's just gonna get silly. Like your fork, yeah, anybody can fork anything, but it has to have a purpose. It has to have marketing behind it. It has to have actual user value. Like the apps built on top of it have to do something that helps the world. So yeah, we can all keep forking and have a big fork fest and Fork Fest 2022, whatever. But it's not gonna, the printer's gonna run out of ink. You know what I mean? Thanks for the stream. Good info. Thank you, sir. Papa coming for you, coffee. How dare you? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Let's see. Crypto Kings, think long, delay gratification. That's right. Hey, everybody go like and subscribe to Crypto Kings. He's a new PulseChain YouTuber, and he actually knows a lot about upcoming projects more than me. I know about liquid loans. I know about HEX a lot. I know a pretty good amount about PulseChain. This guy, he's looking into some of the more obscure PulseChain projects. So if that's your cup of tea, go follow Crypto Kings. He's a smart guy. Flat Earth Underground. So do we need to change any settings in MetaMask or Staker app for airdrop? No, actually, it's pretty nice. You don't have to change anything. For example, if you go to PancakeSwap right now, the PancakeSwap website will automatically prompt you to switch networks on the screen, right? So we have the ability to just automatically prompt the user, just click a button and automatically change network. You don't have to copy and paste the RPC URL or, the chain ID code and all that. You'll just have a button that you click to flip-flop. It's going to be really, really easy, I think, guys. So I really don't think, you can familiarize yourself with MetaMask settings if you want to learn a little bit more, but it's pretty easy to switch networks these days. So I don't think there'll be too much. And I know Staker app is working on developing their own very similar solutions. So you can ask the Staker app team on Twitter how they're going to handle this. But I imagine it's also just going to be some kind of a toggle switch where you flip-flop between Ethereum and PulseChain all day long, back and forth. Really easy, just a UI update. Liquid loans, the loan token is the T-share comparable. What? I don't think T-shares are related to the loan token at all. No, I don't think so. But getting the loan token will be an important part of collecting fees in that protocol, I believe. But I don't think they're really similar to HEX T-shares. PLS will be awesome for financial freedom paired with HEX. I agree. I, for one, am looking forward to my Pulse RHV airdrop. I don't know what that one is, but cool. Good job, Crypto Kings. Yeah, that guy. He's gotten over 1,000 subscribers in like less than a month. So I think he's up and coming. 18th of November, the date of the snapshot or nothing. I'm leaning towards nothing, James. I hate to burst your bubble, man, but I don't think that's the announcement of the snapshot. It might be an announcement of something, or it might just be like an unrelated announcement. It might be an announcement of something cool to come, like a date of, I don't know. It would be cool for something to happen on that day, but I don't like getting my hopes up, and I don't want to get your hopes up either. So expect the worst. What is it? What's the saying? Prepare for the worst, but expect the best. I don't know. It's good to be optimistic, but not foolishly optimistic. What does Richard mean by saying we have a certain time before the coins disappear? That's just your if you have any Ethereum in a wallet somewhere, it's gonna be transformed automatically into PLS token on the PulseChain network. But what he means is that if you don't touch those coins after like some certain time frame, whatever time frame he decides, you're not going to get access to them. So what this is going to do is going to basically put a timer on it. It works in marketing. It's a very age-old tactic. It's called a limited time offer. If you have a timer counting down in which you're going to lose these coins if you don't use them, use it or lose it, basically, it's going to encourage a lot more participation, a lot more adoption and interest and outreach, and people digging into PulseChain and really getting to know it and familiarizing themselves with that system. So it's a marketing tactic. And it also, we don't just want people that don't care about Pulse to, one day wake up and realize they have a whole bunch of Pulse token and then just dump them on the market. So if people don't care about PulseChain, then they don't deserve their free coins, right? So there will be a time window. It'll probably be more than enough time. We'll be yelling and screaming about it on YouTube. So I don't think you'll have to worry about missing those coins, because it'll be probably a long enough window for everybody that cares about PulseChain to get involved. But it is a good idea, because you don't just want to give free coins to people that don't care. They're just going to dump the price down anyway. And plus, the classic limited time offer is just a age-old marketing tactic that always works, guys. I used to use it myself in social media marketing. PulsePad. Oh, yeah. I've heard there's a coin called PulsePad that just skyrocketed. But again, I wouldn't buy it after, if it's some kind of like pump and dump thing, I have no idea. So I'm not going to be chasing any pumps on that one. Hexadente, what up, bro? Yeah, I missed out on PulsePad, I guess, but I'm not chasing the pumps. I know how that ends, guys, and it's not fun. Hey, Renob, thank you for a cup of coffee. Government Bird, thank you for that government money printing money, Renob. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for watching. Hey, guys, I'm at an hour, so I'm going to cut this off. I'm going to go enjoy my weekend. I hope you all enjoy it too. Thank you all for tuning in. Hopefully what I said made sense earlier. If you missed the beginning, rewind, share this with your friends, and just try to keep calm, guys. I think we're going to do great. This PulseChain is going to provide a lot of opportunity for everybody. And if you're unsure of what to do right now, it doesn't hurt to just kind of hold all the coins and expose yourself to opportunities to basically buy more Pulse, buy more HEX, whatever you want to do. I'm bullish on both of these things. I think they're going to make a lot of us truly financially free, and let's pay it forward. So see you guys. Talk to you on the next video. What you saying?